Hi, this is Neil Cox with IndyChristian.tv. Today we're talking with our good friend Nick Bolden. That's Clyde Nickerson Bolden in the author world, and he's author of Bridging the Gulf, Understanding and Ministering to Hip-Hop Youth. Nick, good to have you today.
Thank you, Neil. I'm so pleased to be part of the program today.
All right, this is cool. I guess a good place to start would be like, why did you write it?
This book is designed to inspire adults to take up the challenge of youth work. They may look threatening, they may appear threatening. Most of them really are children at heart. Outward appearance. Man looks at the outward appearance, God looks at the heart. We as Christians, we really need to start taking the time to mentor, to try to understand, and try to minister to these young people, because they're kind of like they're helpless. They're kind of like in the book of Jonah, where Jonah was mad. He didn't want to go to the people of Nineveh. And, God at the end said, one translation said, you're more concerned about this tree that wilted up and dried. These people they don't know their left from their right. And you didn't even want to take the time to try to help them out. So that's what I want to do, inspire us as strong Christians. As the strong, he that's strong, let him strengthen those that are weak. If I might share just an experience yesterday. One of my young people previously didn't get the message the first time, and he had been arrested, and he found a chaplain, and the chaplain had spread the gospel to him, and he read his Bible, and the first person he called me when he got out was me, and he wanted to give his life to Christ and go to church. And so the first thing he needed to do was get off his electronic monitor, and he needed a job. So I was taking him to a job and listening to his worldview, if you would, from the fact that he was a drug dealer, and he didn't drug deal anymore, but he was challenged at school, and the guy wanted to fight him. And so his response was he didn't have time to fight in school. When school was out, he needed to make money. And he proceeded to throw out $50 bills on the school floor. And I said, well, did the guy pick it up? He said, no, it wasn't for the guy to pick up. It was to impress the ladies, to show that he was who he said he was, this drug dealer that should have been going to school. And having earned this income, the thing that really struck me as strange is, if you worked hard for your money, you're certainly not going to throw it out on the floor to make a spectacle of yourself, to show yourself as a big man. But what I'm saying is that it's a mentality. It's a way of thinking that is so different from the way I grew up and the way you grew up. And that's what I refer to as this gulf. There's a great gulf that has developed between urban youth, hip-hop youth, and a more functional, traditional generation. And unless we begin to bridge this gulf, who knows what the future holds.
Yeah. Well, I noticed here in the book, you even talk about it being a predictable cycle. And if I can quote you to a degree, talk about going from daycare to public school, to getting in trouble at school, to expulsion, to being on the street and eventually having a run-in with the law, and then finally to jail. Talk about that.
Bible says we're not ignorant concerning Satan's devices. It's really not that hard to figure out. That was a chapter dealing with youth care centers. Kind of like we have daycare centers for kids, but then they get out of the daycare center and they go to school, I guess, but really they're getting lost, some of them, many of them, in the school system. It seems to me that if they needed daycare, they'd also need youth care. Somebody that, centers where they can go to be mentored to, because we pretty much know what's happening. If a kid's in trouble, like that cycle, it's a very vicious cycle. It's not hard to predict, so why can't we do something about this?
Okay, but that's, of course, that's the golden question. That's why people should buy the book, right? Yeah. But give us a hint. How does a youth worker even begin to break that cycle? What does he do?
Well, I'll tell you where I'm at right now. We face a critical situation in the city of Indianapolis, where we're at right now taping this program. Ironically, the best part of vacation is you don't realize it until you come back, is that you can look at the news and not see a killing and shooting every single day. Just in the news yesterday, there was 3 young people that were killed. But the news or the police don't want to release the information. And so how is a citizen like myself, yourself, how are we to begin to do something about the situation if the police look at us as youth workers? We had an incident at a center where I worked at, and the police said we harbor known gang criminals. So my question to the police, the public safety director is, at what point does a young child that needs ministry, that needs guidance, that needs direction, at what point does he become an innocent child and then he moves to this known gang member? And how are we as youth workers supposed to know the difference unless the police, the public safety director are willing to educate and inform the public? If we're going to be effective, we're going to have to start talking to each other. Police cannot look at the youth workers as enemies, because when you say that we harbor known gang criminals, what are we doing? Trying to teach them how to be better gang criminals? We're really trying to help them do what Jesus said do. You know, live a life that's more productive, more abundant. You know, directing people to jobs, showing them the correct way to make money instead of the illegal, illicit way of making money.
Well, you know, hope is a word that keeps cropping up in the book, and especially with respect to youth and giving them some sense of hope. Give us a sense of hope here for Indianapolis and for the youth of Indianapolis.
Well, the Bible says, you know, things are going to get this way, I believe, toward the end day. But God also promised us that there will be a remnant that would be saved in the midst of destruction. It's kind of hard when you're dealing with urban youth ministry, for me personally, to be bright and cheery about the situations that our young people are facing. But there are some that are doing great things. I have an analogy I share with the young people. The forest is on fire. They instinctively know what that means. They can tell you, crime rate shouldn't be what it is, the homicide rate, it shouldn't be like this. The forest is on fire. The first one to die in the forest fire are the young people, the cubs. And why is that? Because they like the fire. You know, they see a fight breaking out, they run to it. These young people, according to their music, they haven't had fun until the fight breaks out. They have a song, put your hood up, put your click up. It's geared to incite, you know, this kind of mentality where your hood, your neighborhood, if I'm from this neighborhood and you're from this neighborhood, well, we're enemies, and put your click up. So that's designed to incite basically a little mini riot. So I realized working with young people, you haven't had fun until the fight breaks out. So everything's just kind of turned upside down. So what do we say about hope in this situation? We know that God in the end is the victor, and that's the reason why we need to bridge the gulf so vigorously, because these young people, it's really going to take more than just preaching the gospel in order to win souls. You could have a baptismal party. I could baptize people for days and weeks and months, but yet they go back home to environments that, you know, are counterproductive to the Christian message. Just preaching alone is not enough. We've got to be willing to walk side by side with these young people and learn about their lifestyle. When I heard the young person talk about all that he was doing, I didn't really have time to interject my gospel message, but I realized, you know, this guy just needs to vent. He's really teaching me a lifestyle that's so foreign to me and so real to him that I really need to know what he's coming from, where he's coming from first, before I can really, you know, dig in with that gospel message the way I want to.
The book's called Bridging the Gulf and Understanding and Ministering to Hip-Hop Youth. And my good friend Nick Bolden, again, Clyde Nickerson Bolden. Where can they get a copy of this book?
I was researching that on Amazon.com, and they seem to have a better price. If you go to Amazon.com, type in Bridging the Gulf, you'll find it. The publisher is Publish America, PublishAmerica.com. You'll find it. Should I get my phone number? How about the email?
Yeah.
If you want to correspond with me directly, it's victoriousnick@msn.com.
Thank you, Nick.
All right.
This is Neil Cox signing off with IndyChristian.tv.